إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, change is a very, very uncomfortable reality. You see, it's very uncomfortable because for me and for you it goes against what we are used to and what we deem as normal. And you see, there are two types of change. There's a change that a person goes through within himself, and there's a change of the things that are around him and surrounding that individual. And the one type of change is something that you have control over. And the second type of change is that which you have no control over. You have no grasp over this change. And that change, my dear brothers and sisters, is a change of what is happening around us today. You see, we, as slightly older people, right? Myself, I grew up in an age where screen time was very little. And I grew up in the transitional period where I was, 15, 16, 17, and then social media just started coming to the forefront. And people were communicating and having a window into the lives of other people. And slowly, I was part of that transitional period. But you see, the people older than me, they grew up living in a world that had none of that. And the people younger than me, they grew up in a world not knowing anything but that. And so, we have three types of people living in the world today. The generation who grew up with no social media, and they grew up in an age where you'd go out to the park, and I even remember it, I was at Rye Park the other day. Some guy said, I know your dad, we used to go to Sands Park, it was full of Pakistanis all the time. We used to hate when the winter used to come. But you see, nowadays things are different. It's not like that anymore. And so what we have to understand is that there is a new generation that is growing up in this society that me and you both we live in, and they know nothing except social media, and they know nothing except screen time. You see, what is the damage that is being done right in front of our eyes, and we don't have any idea of what's actually happening? What is the actual damage of what's happening in front of us? So you see, when an individual has a window into the lives of other people, that creates inside his heart dissatisfaction. As dissatisfaction grows in your heart, you become more and more ungrateful. And what was the promise that Shaitan said to Allah? He said, you will find most of them ungrateful. You will find most of them ungrateful. And so when you and me live in this world, where all we are doing is consuming and feasting our eyes on the lives of other people, why do you think we are sad? Why do you think we don't have that contentment? Why do you think we feel hollow and empty? Why do you think we can smile to the world, yet inside our hearts when we sit in our bed at night time, we think, when will this misery end? You see, our young people today are growing up in an age of confusion, where they know nothing except the lives of celebrities and the lives of other people. A good footballer back in the day, Maradona or George Best, They'd be great footballers. But you would not have any idea what they do in their personal time, who they are as a person, what they get up to. You just watch football on the weekend and that's it. But now you go on social media, Cristiano Ronaldo has over 100 million followers, and what you do is you see what he's getting up to, what vegetables he's eating, what photo shoot he's doing, who he's sponsoring, what underwear he's wearing. Literally everything you get to see about an individual's life. And what that does is that you look at your own life and you seem insufficient. I don't have this. I don't have what he has. But more so, you become an ingrateful person. You become someone who does not thank Allah for the apparent favors that you have. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, in this age now that we are living in this age now, it is so crucial that we understand the psyche that's being created around us. We understand what is deliberately being done. When we were younger, we would go to the park. And when we'd come home after a long day, one of our friends would have a lollipop. And this lollipop, he'd hold it in his hand and, he would keep it to himself. And you'd think, oh man, I wish I had that. But then all of a sudden, after a few hours, you just get over it. It's no longer like that. Wallahi, it's important that every single one of you understands this reality. Because the times and the days gone before us are not like the days that are coming ahead. And shall I be honest with you? I only realized this and noticed this 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I joined Snapchat. And wallahi al-azim, my eyes opened up to an underground world where all the youngsters are. And I had no idea this was actually going on. And the more I see, and all Snapchat is an insight into 10-15 seconds of what other people are doing. There's no commenting, there's no public platform. All you are doing is seeing the lives of other people. That's all it is. And so what me and you as older people, what we need to do is to help guide our young people through this age of confusion. And for the young people, I have some advice for you at the end. So as elders, as grown people, what can we do? Because the reality is, if you go cold turkey and if you shut it off, they're going to school. And when they go to school, the reality is you have no control over who's in school with them. And you have to realize and you have to concede to the fact that when your child becomes 14, 15, 16, you have to let go and understand that you don't have that influence over them anymore. That's the harsh reality. And so when they mix with other people, they are being programmed to think like them. They are being programmed to think like them. So what needs to happen from your part is you need to get them surrounded with like-minded people. And if you're aware or if you're not aware, alhamdulillah, in our community, in our masjid, there is a so-called movement or so-called like a development of young people practicing the religion. And this development of young people practicing the religion is gaining a lot of traction. And if you don't know about this, you should know. We have, for example, our Saturday night buzz, last Saturday of every single month. In the middle of the month, we have another event for young people. There's also Salam Academy as well that is growing and developing and subhanAllah, they are doing incredible work and not just teaching people Islam, but they are actually developing them up to a point where they have a plan for them when they reach 13, 14, 15, so that they can then fit into a good brotherhood and a good environment. The sisters are now growing in the same part as well. And so there is a plan and a process in place at the moment. That's the first thing. The second thing that you can do is to become more savvy and understand the realities. of social media by listening to stuff like this. And it's important that you are aware of these type of things, because inshallah every single one of you will have kids. Inshallah. And so the reality will become even more real to you when you do have kids. And the last thing that you want to be doing is getting to a point where you have to firefight and have to put out the fires now. Because let's be honest, not all fires get put out. And some of our kids get burnt and caught up in that fire. We ask Allah to protect us from that. Ameen ya Rabbi. Now my young brothers, those of you who are here on half term, those of you who are here listening to this khutbah, and for those of you who are consumed in an age and in a time where this beast of social media has taken over our lives, here is my advice to you. The reason, and wallahi al-azim, this woke me up the most, where so many young people were messaging me saying, I'm depressed, I'm suicidal, I'm not happy, I'm not content, I'm sad. What in the world is a young person doing with that kind of a mindset? Are you 45 years old with a mortgage, 3 kids, and struggling to pay your bills? That's what I call stress. What are you stressed over? I just don't feel happy. They can't answer it. They can't answer these questions in their lives. And brothers and sisters, this is a reality. It's happening right in front of us. They can't answer these questions. So what do? They try and fit in to whatever environment is around them. If they go to uni and the guys are drinking and the girls are drinking, they want to fit into them because maybe that's going to fill that void. If a person is hanging out on Bowdeen Road outside the Hive, right, and chilling by Bubbles Ties, if a person is there, he wants to go hang out with those people over there. He wants to find some security and safety with those guys over there, who all they do is sell drugs and smoke drugs and suck the blood of people. Reality is happening on our doorstep. Young, good people, RGS, going to grammar schools, leave grammar schools and start selling drugs. What's that all about? When did this happen? But it's a reality in front of our eyes. Let's take the blinkers off for a second. Let's get our head out of the sand, brothers and sisters. I'm from your town. I have grown up in here. And you are in this town as well. Let's wake up to what's around us. Let's know the realities. And those who know, you know what's going on. And so young people are looking for that identity. And you, my dear brother, my dear sister, are looking for that identity. You're trying to find something. And this is why the LGBT community, they are capitalizing in an age on people, in an age of discontent and dissatisfaction. Because so many people are looking for identity. Why? Because that ingratitude in their heart, that ungratefulness to Allah has been snatched away. As it has been snatched away, they're now looking for purpose. They're now looking for meaning. They're now looking for something and someone to fill that void. That's why young people are just so heartbroken when they fall into love and a relationship and it doesn't work out. Because that's everything for them. That's everything that they wanted. Their hearts desired that relationship so much. But it comes to nothing when they don't get their parents involved. When they get heartbroken. Especially girls, they get hurt the most. And so my dear brothers and sisters, my young brothers and sisters, understand that whatever identity you are looking for in this dunya, no matter what, whether you like it or not, Islam, Iman, this identity is the only identity worth living for. Worth living for. Because any identity that you try and create, that you try and be, that you try and follow, it will end at the grave. It will end at the grave. It's going to stop right there. When your family walk back and you hear those footsteps and the angels sit you up, it ends there. Done. Done. It finishes there. Any identity you try and become, whoever you're trying to become, whoever you're trying to look up to, whoever you want to be like, whoever you want to act like, whoever you want to look like, it's going to end there. It's going to end. That's it. Once that final nail in the coffin has been pressed down and has been hammered down, it ends all there. So So whether you like it, whether I like it, whether I want it or I don't want it, you have to understand the only identity worth living for is the identity that will live on after you die. Is the identity that will live on after you die, and that is the identity of La ilaha illallah. And I say this with pride and passion that I am a Muslim today, because I've seen everything out there. It does not create that happiness for you. It does not create that contentment for you. Why don't you listen to me when I tell you these words, that young people all across the world are suicidal, they are depressed, they have anxiety. Why are the most depressed people on the planet musicians? Musicians, Justin Bieber just the other day, millions of followers on Instagram, millions of followers, money, he can do whatever he wants, with whoever he wants, he can be whoever he wants, he can have whatever he wants. He's suffering from depression. How? Why? Because in the end, you have to know and understand. وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَاقٍ. Whatever is with Allah will remain. Whatever is with Allah will remain. And anything in this world that you chase and you try and run after, it will come to a futile end. Whatever ends will never ever ever be able to give you that contentment and satisfaction in your heart. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you chase, it's a shadow that will continuously run away from you. The sooner you, my young brother, my young sister, realize this reality, the better for you and your hereafter. Because death can come knocking at your door tonight and at any time. And those people who death comes upon all of a sudden, they were not prepared for it. None of them were prepared for it. And I will tell you something. 100 years from now, a new generation will be here. 100 years before us, a previous generation was here. So what makes you think that you're going to live forever? It's a bitter pill. It's a bitter reality. It's difficult to swallow. But you need to really, really understand this and really internalize this. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Don't be a Jummah Muslim. Don't be a Muslim that just comes to Jummah and just lives an average, normal life. You, my dear brother, my dear sister, are living in an age where ideas are all over the place. Concepts are all over the place. Everyone is thinking of something. In this age, I am speaking to everyone now. In this age, me and you need to be visionaries. Me and you need to have a common goal. Me and you need to work together. Because let me tell you something. The forces of evil out there are so strong. And if you are living in a bubble and trying to ignore it, that's your problem. But the reality is that many people live in a bubble. And when they grow older and they have children, and no longer the children listen to them, man, I should not have lived in a bubble anymore. We need to be engaged with the community, all of us. We need to be involved. We need to sacrifice some of our time. We need to come together. Brothers and sisters, look around you. These men and women around you. We have to be together. We have to stay together and bring people to Islam and raise the banner of Islam and make sure that the fight that the Sahaba put throughout their whole lives does not end in vain. You see, these men, subhanallah, in Hajjatul Wada'iyah, when the Prophet ﷺ was giving his final sermon to all of the companions, 140,000 of them were there on that final farewell Hajj. And do you know that 90% of them died outside Mecca and Medina? And why did they die outside Mecca and Medina? Why? The Haramain are there. You know, the Prophet, the Masjid of the Prophet is there. The Kaaba is there. Why did 90% of them die outside Mecca and Medina? Because you see, the moment the Prophet ﷺ breathed his last, that responsibility fell on our shoulders. When it fell on our shoulders, the men who knew what they had to do, they packed their bags, they got up and they went and they spread Islam. And you are living in the land of the non-Muslims and we are asleep. We are asleep, worried about our work, our jobs, and then we're going to die. What are we going to leave behind for the generations to come? Do you want it that in 80, 90 years, it will be the year 2100. And in those years, there's nobody in your lineage that is a Muslim anymore. Why? Because you're worried about work, business, money, status. You're worried about all those things, and then all of a sudden, your son, daughter, whatever, your children, they didn't take Islam seriously. And so what happens is that they go and have kids, and then the hadith really comes into action here. We're close to the last day. A man will say, I heard one of my parents say, La ilaha illallah. I heard one of my parents say, La ilaha illallah. And you see, if you want that to be a reality, continue sleeping. If you want that to be your reality, continue staying asleep. Because the reality is that if we do not wake up and work together, and come together, and unite, and understand that there is a great project and progress happening with this very masjid. If we do not come together and work together, we will end in 100 years' time at that reality. Because times are just getting harder and harder. And so I leave you with this. My parting advice to you, my dear brothers and sisters, is this. If you are coming here as a Muslim that comes and prays Jummah, may Allah reward you. And I ask that Allah allows you to become a stronger believer. And we want you to become stronger believers. Nobody wants to look down upon anybody. But the reality is that you have to prepare for a mighty, grand, royal appointment with Allah one day. And that royal appointment with Allah is going to happen whether you like it or not. And when you stand in front of Him, you have to know the reality. Allah calls the day of judgment Yawm al-Hasra, the day of regret. Yawm al-Qiyamah, the day of standing. Yawm al-Haqa, it's the evident reality. That is when everything becomes clear. Your eyes are cameras recording everything. Your ears are microphones recording everything. And on the day of judgment, it will be played on big screen in front of you, your life. That is what will happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will not leave any leaf unturned. Every single thing in your life will be investigated and explored. And on that day, my dear brothers and sisters, is the day when you have regret, but you cannot do anything about it. That is one of the most painful feelings ever. Regret in this world, you can do something about it. You still have time. You look at the clock, you feel your heartbeat, it's pumping. Time is still happening. You still have time. But on that day, you will say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, send me back. لَعَلِّي أَعْمَلُ صَالِحًا فِي مَا تَرَى. Send me back so that I may do good deeds of the days that went past. Please, O Allah. Subhanallah. You will scream and shout and beg, and you will beg, and you will scream, and you will shout, but it will be of no use. It will be of no use. And the sooner me and you wake up to this reality, we can really take hold of our lives and move in a certain direction that Allah will be pleased with us. Don't go away now and let this sit in your ears for 5 minutes and then it drops dead and you no longer think about it, or where we're going to eat food or what we're going to do. Let this settle in your heart. Let this enter your heart and pierce your heart and enter and let it settle as a reality, brothers and sisters. When are we going to wake up? When are we going to take our lives seriously? When are we going to continue coming to every single Jummah prayer and listen to all these reminders? And how many lectures and reminders do we need in our lives to make a change? How many do we need? Are we waiting for the day of judgment to begin? Are we waiting for your day of judgment to begin when you die? Brothers and sisters, make this change. Take that step. Take that step, brothers and sisters. Wallahi, you have to take this step. We are not living in a time where we are not living in an age where we have luxury of time anymore. We don't. So my parting advice to you, brothers and sisters, is that find good people in this masjid. Stick to them. Hold on to them. Be a part of the brotherhood and sisterhood. Get involved. Be active. Understand that, wallahi, you have probably the most valuable and amazing community in the whole of UK. I say this with no hesitation, because I've seen other communities, and the work and the groundwork that has been put by our leaders in this community is incredible. Which other masjid let you do stuff like, all-nighters in the masjid, play football in the masjid, young people coming here? Which other masjid does this? People, my friends in London and Birmingham, are stressed out and frustrated with arrogant masjid committees. But we have blessed people around us that are allowing us to flourish. And you need to take advantage of this and be grateful for this and get involved. Because when you're 60, 70 and grey, you look back and you think, what did I actually leave behind? Don't let the brothers who started this masjid, these are the same people that are cleaning up after the events. These are the same people that are running the events. Why have we not come forward? Why are we not coming forward and helping out and saying to them, relax, let me help out. Let me do some work. Do something so that Islam spreads and Islam wins eventually. For yourself, for your own sake, and for the sake of the future generations. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows these words to be effective and allows these words to pierce and enter our hearts and to forgive our sins and to guide us upon the straight path and our progeny and everyone who follows us until the day of judgment. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk wa aqim as-salat.